Welcome to the Caregivers Collective, the podcast designed to support, to inform, and empower caregivers. I'm Tangela, and today we're discussing a topic that every caregiver needs to be aware of. Today we're going to talk about some legal matters, specifically essential documents for caregivers. Taking care of a loved one often involves making critical decisions, and having the right legal documents in place can ease the stress. It can prevent conflicts and ensure that your loved one's wishes are honored. Let's dive right into the essential legal documents that every caregiver should understand and prepare. The first document that we're going to discuss is the Power of Attorney, or the POA. One of the most crucial legal tools for caregivers is a Power of Attorney. This document allows a designated person, known as the agent or attorney in fact, to make financial or healthcare decisions on behalf of their loved one, known as the principal when they are unable to do so for themselves. Now, there are two main types of POAs. There's the medical power of attorney, also known as the healthcare proxy, and this gives the caregiver the authority to make healthcare decisions for their loved one if they become incapacitated and cannot communicate their wishes. These decisions can include choices about medical treatments, surgeries, medications, and end-of-life care. Then there is the durable financial power of attorney, and this gives a caregiver the right to manage finances, pay bills, handle bank accounts, invest funds, and take care of other financial responsibilities. Here's some key points about POAs. The durability. A POA can be a durable POA, meaning that it remains in effect even if the principal becomes incapacitated. Signing a POA, a springing POA, only goes into effect when a specific event occurs, such as a doctor's declaration of incapacity. Limitations. The principal can specify limitations and restrictions on the agent's authority in the POA document. Revocation. The principal can revoke a POA at any time as long as they are mentally competent. State laws. POA laws vary by state, so it's crucial to consult an attorney familiar with your state's regulations. Without a POA in place, caregivers may have to go through a lengthy and expensive court process called guardianship or conservatorship to gain legal authority over their loved one's affairs. Here's a pro tip. It's best to have these documents prepared while your loved one is still mentally competent to ensure that their wishes are honored and to avoid potential family conflicts. The next document that we're going to discuss is the Advanced Healthcare Directive, or Living Will. A living will, also known as an Advanced Healthcare Directive, outlines a person's medical wishes in case they cannot communicate themselves due to illnesses, injury, or incapacitation. This document includes decisions about life support, resuscitation, organ donation, and other healthcare choices. Here are some key components of a living will. Life-sustaining treatment, which specifies whether and under what circumstances the person wants to receive life-sustaining treatments like mechanical ventilations, tube feeding, or CPR. Pain management and comfort care. These express the person's desire for pain management and comfort care, even if it might hasten death. Organ and tissue donation. This indicates whether the person wishes to donate organs or tissues after death. Other instructions include It may include preferences for spiritual or religious care, preferred location of care, whether it's at home or in a hospital, and specific treatments to be avoided. A living will ensures that caregivers and medical professionals know exactly what kind of care the individual wants, reducing the uncertainty and potential family conflicts during an emotionally difficult time. Imagine having to guess whether your loved one would want to be kept on life support. A living will removes the burden of that difficult decision from your shoulders and ensures that your loved one's wishes are respected. Here's an action step. If your loved one does not have a living will, consider discussing their wishes and working with an attorney to create one. It's also important to keep the living will updated as circumstances and medical advancements change. Then there's the HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act authorization form. This form is crucial for caregivers. It allows healthcare providers to share medical information with designated individuals, including caregivers. Without this form, doctors and hospitals may be legally prohibited from discussing your loved one's health conditions with you. Some key aspects of the HIPAA or the HIPAA authorization is protected healthcare information, the PHI. HIPAA protects sensitive patient information, including medical records, diagnoses, treatment plans, and test results. Authorization. A signed HIPAA authorization form gives healthcare providers permission to disclose PHI to specified individuals. Here's the scope of that. The authorization can be tailored to specify what information can be shared with whom and for what purpose. The expiration. The authorization can have an expiration date or remain in effect until revoked. Why does this matter? Well, in a medical emergency or when managing chronic conditions, caregivers need access to medical records and treatment plans to make informed decisions and to advocate for their loved ones effectively. Here's a quick tip. Ensure that the HIPAA authorization form is signed and filled with your loved one's primary care and any specialists that they see regularly. It's also a good idea to keep a copy for your records. Then there's the last will and testament. A last will and testament is a legal document that outlines how a person's assets, property, and personal belongings will be distributed after their passing. It also designates an executor, who is the person responsible for carrying out the terms of the will and ensuring that the deceased person's wishes are fulfilled. Here are some key elements of a will. First, there's the executor. This names the person who will manage the estate and distribute the assets. There's the beneficiaries. This identifies the people or organizations who will receive the deceased person's assets. Then there's the guardianship. If minor children are involved, the will can designate a guardian to care for them. Specific bequest. This can include specific information for distributing particular items or assets. Residuary clause. This distributes any remaining assets after specific bequests have been fulfilled. Without a will, state law determine how assets are distributed, which may not align with the deceased person's wishes and can lead to unnecessary legal battles among family members. Here's some key considerations. Does your loved one have a will in place? Is it up to date with their current wishes and circumstances? Have they named an executor who is willing and able to take on the responsibility? Well, here's a pro tip. It's advisable to review and update a will periodically, especially after major life events like marriages, divorce, the birth of a child, or significant change in financial situation. Having open and honest discussions about estate planning early on can prevent future disputes and ensure smooth transition of assets according to the deceased person's wishes. The next document we're going to discuss is the guardianship or conservatorship. If a loved one is unable to make decisions due to advanced illnesses, dementia, or disability, and they haven't established a power of attorney, caregivers may need to seek guardianship or conservatorship through the court. Guardianship is a legal process where the court appoints someone to make personal and healthcare decisions for an incapacitated person. Conservatorship is a legal process where the court appoints someone to manage the financial affairs of an incapacitated person. So here's some key points about guardianship and conservatorship. The court process. The court oversees the guardianship or conservatorship process and makes the final decision about who will be appointed. The burden of proof. The person seeking guardianship or conservatorship must prove that the individual is incapacitated and unable to make decisions for themselves. Then there's limited versus full. The court can grant limited guardianship or conservatorship, giving the appointed person authority over specific areas, or full guardianship or conservatorship, giving them broad decision-making power. Ongoing supervision. The court may require ongoing reports and accountings from the guardian or the conservator to ensure that they are acting in the best interest of the incapacitated person. Here's some legal insight. Guardianship proceedings can be time-consuming, costly, and emotionally draining. So it is best to have preventative legal measures in place, such as a POA and advanced healthcare directive, to avoid the need for guardianship and maintain control over decision making. Finally, we'll discuss the letter of intent. A letter of intent is a non-legal document that provides crucial details about a loved one's daily routines, medical history, preferences, and long-term care wishes. While not legally binding, this document serves as a valuable guide for future caregivers or family members. Here are some key components of a letter of intent. There's the personal information. This includes basic information like name, date of birth, contact information, and emergency contacts. Then there's the medical information, which outlines medical history, current diagnoses, medications, allergies, and healthcare providers. There's the daily routines and preferences. This describes daily routines, dietary preferences, favorite activities, and any cultural or religious considerations. Then there's long-term care wishes. This expresses the desire for future care, including preferred living arrangements, desired level of independence, and end-of-life wishes. Navigating the legal side of caregiving can be overwhelming, but having these essential documents in place can both protect you and your loved ones from unnecessary complications. So let's do a quick recap. You have the power of attorney. This gives authority to make financial and healthcare decisions. The advanced healthcare directive or living will. This outlines medical wishes. Then there's the HIPAA authorization. It grants access to medical information. You have the last will and testament. This ensures assets are distributed according to one's wishes. You have the guardianship or conservatorship. This is a court process when no prior legal authority exists. And finally, the letter of intent. It's a non-binding guide for long-term care planning. So if you haven't addressed these legal matters yet, now is the time to start. Speak with a legal professional, gather your documents, and ensure your caregiving journey is as smooth as possible. Thanks again for joining me today on the Caregivers Collective. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a fellow caregiver. You can subscribe for more practical tips and support. And until next time, take care of your loved one, but don't forget to take care of yourself too.